Will Denny Hamlin's villain arc lead to his first ever Cup title? And with Zane Smith gone, let's take a hard look at Ford's development drivers. Also, Lionel Racing stops by to kick off the holiday season. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove. I hope your week is going well. Busy show today. Real quick, I want to highlight a special giveaway my friends at Live Fast Motorsports and Blaster are doing on their Instagram page. Live Fast is teaming up with Blaster to give away 2 tickets to SEMA Fest in Las Vegas this year. To enter, go to their most recent post and underneath it, tag who you'd bring to SEMA Fest. The giveaway will close on October 3rd. You must be 21 or older to enter. Good luck. Be sure to check that out. Real quick, a tiny bit of news, not NASCAR news per se, but the Superstar Racing Experience, the SRX, is coming to iRacing. The two sides put out an official statement this afternoon. iRacing and the Superstar Racing Experience are excited to announce that they have entered a long-term partnership to have the SRX car and the SRX series in iRacing. iRacing is already working on a trip to scan the SRX car and gather data for an expected 2024 release. Sounds like fans and sim racers may have to wait a little while, but this is really cool news. And I don't know everything about all the tracks that are available in iRacing, but I hope this partnership leads to even more short tracks around the country being scanned, preserved digitally on the iRacing platform. I think that would be really cool, but awesome stuff. Fans of the SRX, fans of iRacing, sounds like coming next year, you'll be able to try out an all-new car. That's big for the SRX, but moving on, this week it feels like everyone is talking about Denny Hamlin, the supervillain. Like Saturday Night at Bristol was his villain origin story or something. Denny Hamlin was this nice, unassuming guy when suddenly someone threw a cucumber at him and all of a sudden he turned to the dark side. I'm being a little dramatic, but even Denny Hamlin's talking about embracing the villain role. This may be a topic for a future video, but can we finally say that NASCAR has too many villains? You go to the racetrack now and for 11th through 40th place, the crowd's like, oh yeah, go you, okay. Then you get into those top 10 and it's cheers for Chase Elliott, cheers for Kyle Larson, a mix of boos and cheers for Kyle Busch. It's boos for Logano, it's boos for Hamlin, it's boos for Bubba, boos for Ty Gibbs. Like, man, there are probably 10 to 12 drivers who really elicit a substantial response during driver intros, and more than half of them are usually booed. Anyway, that's a tangent. Does NASCAR have too many villains? Is there such a thing? I don't know. That's a separate topic. Focusing in on Denny Hamlin. In response to the fans booing him after his win Saturday night, Denny Hamlin said this past weekend, quote, "Yeah, they think they bother me, but clearly it's having the opposite effect. I gotta realize 18 years in that I'm probably not going to win the most popular driver award. I've come to the conclusion of that. I understand it." Hamlin doubling down there after, he said at the track, hey, I beat your favorite driver. He tripled down on this whole villain shtick on his podcast Actions Detrimental this week. Hamlin said, quote, "All I want to do is, if you root against me, I want to make these next 7 weeks a living hell for you. Am I feeding into it, the villain stuff? Absolutely, because I have some confidence and our team is running well." My goodness, but there at the very end, I think Denny Hamlin lets us into why now suddenly he seems to have turned heel. Go back to Martinsville 2017 when he spun out Chase Elliott. Go back to Martinsville when he and Joey Logano got into a fight. That's just short track racing. Go back to Martinsville 2021. Why is it always Martinsville? When he and Alex Bowman had their back and forth. Go back honestly to Pocono just a few weeks ago when Denny Hamlin was jumping through every hoop possible to justify his contact with Kyle Larson when racing for the win. Denny Hamlin, in the past, I think has subtly or not so subtly let it be known that the boos, the fact that he's actively seemingly disliked by a large portion of the fan base, I think that has bothered him at least a little bit. Heck, I think anyone who gets booed by thousands on a weekly basis, would let that get under their skin a bit. I don't blame Denny Hamlin. Everyone would rather be cheered than booed for sure. But why now suddenly has Denny Hamlin seemingly accepted it, turned heel? He's feeding into it now. On social media the past few weeks, his team have posted those photos of, him celebrating with middle fingers flying up in the background. Suddenly, Denny Hamlin is feeding into it. He seems to be embracing the villain role. And at the very end of that last quote I read from Actions Detrimental, I think we can see why. Hamlin has changed his tune. All of a sudden, Denny Hamlin's the fastest car on the racetrack. You look at this round of 16 from Darlington to Kansas to Bristol. I know he only got one win, but I think he was the fastest car in all 3 races. Led more laps than anyone in the round of 16. I think right now, Denny Hamlin knows that this year is one of, if not the best shots he's had at a Cup Series championship in a long, long time. He's had dominant cars late in the season before, like, 2020. I think Hamlin won 7 or 8 races, but that year all eyes were on Kevin Harvick because he won 9. This season, there's Kyle Larson, who was really good in the round of 16 as well. There's William Byron, maybe Martin Truex Jr., maybe Chris Buescher that he has to worry about. But this year, especially compared to 2020, there's so much parity that anyone who even slightly sets themselves apart stands out a ton. Denny stood out in the first round of the playoffs, and I think Denny is very aware of that. It's easier to talk smack when you can back that talk up with results. Last place is usually the last person to talk a big game. Denny Hamlin needs a championship. I think he needs it this season. It would ease so much tension. It's really the only thing left to check off his Cup Series resume. He's been close before. He's lost the championship in spectacular fashion before. The pressure is on. If going back and forth with the fans, that banter, if that helps fuel him, if that helps him keep his focus, if that's what motivates him, then go for it. Try something new. Whatever Denny Hamlin's done in the past has obviously resulted in a lot of race wins, some big race wins, but he's never won a championship. Why not try something different? Try a different approach this year and see if it sticks. We'll see just how far Denny Hamlin goes this season. Now, I want to talk about Ford in a few moments. We'll have our Out of the Crowd segment, but first, my friends at Lionel Racing, the official diecast of NASCAR, have something pretty cool, pretty unique they've been working on, and they wanted to share it with us here on the show today. It is now my great pleasure to welcome in Carlene, the social media coordinator for Lionel Racing. Carlene, it's great to see you. I know here in the South, it's still in many ways the heat of summer, but the holidays will be here before we all realize it. So what has Lionel Racing been working on recently?
Yes, hi. It's so awesome to be here. Thank you for having me, Eric. Since Christmas trees are already starting to pop up in the stores, Lionel Racing figured it was time for us to introduce our very own 12 Days of Christmas calendar countdown.
Oh my gosh, I love that. It's so big and graphic.
Right?
It pops.
I can't fit it.
It's like it almost doesn't need wrapping paper. It looks like it's ready to go under the tree already. That's incredible.
Yeah, thank you. I know it's super exciting. It's something we've been working on for a few months now. And like you said, it doesn't even need wrapping. It looks like it's already ready to go. Actually, let me see if I can pop it back up here so you guys can see. It is covered in the Lionel Snowball 500 graphics. You've got Chase, Cole, and Haley racing to the finish line with Santa and all of his friends watching. Something that really gets you in the season, you know?
Yeah, a real clash of the Titans. That's awesome. Well, Carlene, how did this idea come together? Because it seems awesome.
Yeah, so actually, roughly around this time last year, I was watching a YouTube video of a lady doing a unboxing of a makeup advent calendar. And for some reason, I'd seen them all over the place, but watching the actual unboxing just got me really excited. So I had reached out to my now fiance and was like, hey, what do you think about doing, like, each of us getting an advent calendar and doing our own countdown together? And he's a huge NASCAR fan, and he's like, that sounds awesome. Is there a diecast one? And I kind of gave him a look like, you would know if there was. But before that thought came out of my mouth, I was like, well, why isn't there? It's something that we could do and would be perfect. We've got the product that fits in it. And the Lionel train side of the business is so well known for Christmas time. I mean, we've got like the Polar Express train and Elf train. Yeah. I actually had a guy come up to me at the Daytona 500 after seeing Lionel in my backpack. And he was like, I just want to let you know that we still have my great grandpa's train that goes around our tree every year.
Oh, wow.
So Lionel and Christmas just kind of mesh. And I'm like, all right, it's time for Lionel Racing to kind of join that front. So after a couple of days of thinking about it, I took it to my manager who thought it was a great idea. We went to the VP of marketing and she loved it and told me to put together a whole pitch, do some research, see what's out there, and we'll go from there. So after that, about a month later, I sat down with our CEO, our VP of marketing, our VP of sales, and our head of mass, which is who does all of the Authentics line. went through everything. We worked on a game plan. And right after that meeting, our head of mass got really working on the logistics of it all and brought us to this point.
That's incredible. Well, it looks great, and I love it's got the 12 days of Christmas theme going. Yeah, in the traditional
Yes.
song, of course, most of the presents are just birds, and it's a little anticlimactic, honestly.
Right.
So, I mean, I know it's supposed to be a surprise, but can you give us fans any sort of hint as to what may be contained within?
Yes. So I can say for sure that the three on the front are in. So you'll have
Okay.
all three in these schemes as well. There are seven never before produced in 164 cars. So over half of them are exclusives. You will have all three manufacturers. So you've got Ford, Chevy, Toyota. You'll have Truck, Xfinity, and Cup represented. And there are some winner circle cars that you'll find in there.
Ooh, oh, very nice, very
Mm.
diverse. That's awesome. See, I remember as a kid around Christmas time, I would always just ask for Matt Kenseth diecast because he's my favorite driver. But then after I got
Mhm.
like 6, 8, 10 of them in a row and I wanted to play with them on my parents' living room floor, I realized it's lame. I have just a bunch of 17s. Like, I don't want to see Matt Kenseth lose. So how am I supposed to race them? So it was great. Eventually, I
Right.
started asking for a more diverse set of cars. I love that there are trucks, Xfinity represented in this as well. That's really awesome. And the packaging looks great. I mean, what more can you tell us about how these cars will be shipped and delivered and how that design came together?
Yeah, of course. So, with the design specifically, we reached out to a child's book illustrator, which I think just brings even more amazingness to it. I mean, when I think of fun Christmas memories, I think childhood, right?
Hmm.
So it kind of gives that like whimsy childhood feel to it with the snowflakes all over and again like Santa up at the top snowboarding with a reindeer.
That's pretty
It just like
gnarly.
gives that excitement, right? And then if I can get this to fold, you have your own track to race on.
Oh, that's so cool. I needed something like
So
that as a
no
kid.
need to do it on the carpet.
I think I went through a lot of masking tape in my day to drawing out
Oh
racetrack
my gosh.
designs. That's
I
amazing.
can only imagine. Yes, we'll save the parents' floor. By day 12, you'll have a 12-day field to race in your Lionel Snowball 500. And then you've got the wreath up here, and this is where all the cars are featured. So each slot is numbered. They don't go in order, so you kind of have to hunt for them. But yeah, by day 12, you'll have your whole 12-car field.
That's awesome. Now, I guess we got to get down to the important details here. Where can fans find the Lionel holiday calendar?
Yes, so you can find it on lionelracing.com as well as our two stores, one in Concord, North Carolina, and the other new one in Nashville. They will be online this week as pre-order status, but they are expected to be in early next week. And then as soon as we get them, they'll be shipping out.
That was gonna be my next question. So they're shipping out soon. I mean, what other details can you give fans just so they know exactly what to expect?
Absolutely. Yeah. So be on the lookout for them. They will be $49.99 retail. So for 12 cars, not too shabby. But yeah, just be on the lookout. We'll be posting a lot. And something I'm super excited about that this is my own special request. But due to being the one who's always looking at social, by the time all 12 cars are in the field, I would love to know who everyone's Lionel Snowball 500 winner is. Tweet it at me, Instagram, email it. I'm going to make a stat and see who the number one winner of the Snowball 500 is this year.
That's a great idea. I'll be curious to see that as well, especially once we see the full lineup of drivers. Obviously, drivers matter a lot in that one, but
Exactly.
that's incredible, Carlene. Well, we really appreciate you stopping by to show us this. Love that Lionel is trying some new and exciting things, and this is a cool product that I know. I think any NASCAR fan would love to see pop up around Christmas time this year. So thanks for joining us.
Absolutely, Eric. Thank you so much. And I'm greatly looking forward to this holiday season.
The link to Lionel Racing's holiday calendar is down in the description below. Be sure to check it out. Now, this past weekend, Zane Smith, perhaps Ford's top driver in the lower NASCAR ranks, announced that he's leaving Ford for Chevrolet next season. In the wake of that news, many fans now are taking a hard look at the drivers left in Ford's developmental ranks. In my last video, I kind of just, in a throwaway line, said this. You think I'm joking, but Hailie Deegan is suddenly like a top 3 or top 5 prospect in the Ford system. And as a result, I think that sparked a larger discussion in the comment section about who Ford's top prospects are. So let's take one of those comments now from out of the crowd. This comment comes from Alan0714, who said, I don't see how you can say Hailie Deegan is a top 3 prospect for Ford when she hasn't done a single thing in the trucks. She's sitting 19th in the standings behind 3 rookies, and all of her teammates made the playoffs. 2 of them have wins. If anything, I'm sure Ford is more interested in Ben Rhodes and or Ty Majeski. Fair point there, Alan. Can't argue with facts. In my defense, I did sort of self-correct myself in the video. I said top 3 or top 5, maybe. The bigger point, though, is that Ford, let's just be honest, does have a driver shortage at the moment. They've promoted a lot of prospects into the Cup Series in recent years, like Todd Gilliland with Front Row, Harrison Burton with the Wood Brothers, Austin Cindric with Team Penske, Chase Briscoe at Stewart-Haas. All these guys are in Cup already, and they've achieved mixed results. I mean, Todd Gilliland at least has shown some improvement in year 2, but he's still 28th in points. Austin Cindric has regressed. Harrison Burton is 31st in points, and Chase Briscoe seems stuck in mediocre equipment. It has not been inspiring recently, to say the least. So let's look at who's left in the Xfinity and the Truck Series that currently drives a blue oval. There's Cole Custer in the Xfinity Series, who has 3 years of Cup experience, went back down to Xfinity this year. He's won 2 races. He's in the playoffs. He's had a really good season. The problem is everyone still remembers those 3 years, especially the last 2 years, in Cup. Some of that was Stewart-Haas Racing falling from grace, but some of that was Cole Custer just, being a young driver, not figuring it out as quickly as SHR was hoping. Also with Stewart-Haas in the Xfinity Series is Riley Herbst. Riley Herbst started this season out so strong. I think he had 6 straight top 10s to begin the year. But a mixture of everything completely derailed his season this summer. He missed the Xfinity Series playoffs. That's unacceptable. He still doesn't have a win in any top NASCAR series. Now, as Alan mentions in his comment, there are a couple really good young Ford drivers in the Truck Series over at ThorSport, beginning with Ben Rhodes, who won the Truck Series championship just 2 years ago. I was looking at his numbers earlier. It hit me. He's been in trucks for 8 years now. He's in his 8th consecutive full-time Truck Series season. That's wild. I had no idea. I knew it'd been a while. I didn't realize it'd been 8 years. He's won 7 total races in that span. He does have a championship to his credit. Ben Rhodes is a good driver. I think he's grown up quite a bit since he was a teenager in trucks. But I know there is a stigma that if you stick in trucks long enough, you can become sort of a Truck Series lifer. I don't know if that's what Ben Rhodes wants. I don't know if that's something he's comfortable with, but 8 years in trucks, it's hard to say he's gotten better every year. He's been good, especially the last few years, but I'm not sure if he'll ever make it to Cup. There's Ty Majeski, who I like Ty Majeski a lot. I've seen him race on short tracks in the Midwest. 2 truck wins last year in his first year with ThorSport. He's backed that up with another win this season. He's once again in the playoffs, but even Ty Majeski, we saw him in Xfinity a few years ago driving that cursed 60 car for Roush. And this year even, he got that win in the playoff opener and then got busted for bleeding tires. So, I mean, I like Ty Majeski. I think he's been tied to Ford pretty much his entire NASCAR career, so he's got that going for him, but I don't know if his skills will translate to consistent NASCAR success. I really don't. So that's 4 names we've mentioned. And then 5th, I think in the top 5 of Ford prospects, is Hailie Deegan. On-track results aside, Hailie Deegan has a greater media presence, a bigger brand than any of these other drivers I've talked about combined. That brings value to any team. However, her on-track results have not kept up. I think Hailie Deegan's hype peaked in 2019, and it's steadily decreased ever since then. Winless in ARCA, winless in trucks, has not shown any consistent improvement. It's certainly not on the stat sheet. She might end up in Xfinity in the next couple years, and maybe that style of racing will suit her better. Who knows? But for now, the hype train is all but out of steam. So you look at those 5 names I just listed. Those are the 5 top Ford prospects remaining in the Xfinity and Truck Series. I don't mean to be harsh, but losing Zane Smith really exposes how thin Ford's ranks currently are. They need these young drivers in Cup currently, like Briscoe, Cindric. They need those guys to figure it out. And it's not all on the drivers. Stewart-Haas is a shell of its former self. Penske is having a down year. Joey Logano just missed the round of 12. But that's what Ford's banking on. Ford needs Briscoe, Cindric, Todd Gilliland, Harrison Burton. They need those guys to start improving and improve fast. Of those 5 drivers in the lower ranks, however, who do you think the top prospect is? Which driver do you think has the greatest potential upside? I'm talking about Custer, Herbst, Majeski, Rhodes, Deegan. Which driver has the lowest floor? Let me know down in the comment section below. But thank you all for leaving comments. Your comment may be featured on the next Out of the Crowd segment. I told y'all this was a busy episode, covered a lot of ground, a lot of different topics and segments, but I think that's gonna do it. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and as always, a big thank you to my Patreon supporters for your very consistent and generous support each and every month. I'm hosting a live stream tomorrow night, Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. I hope to see you there. I will see y'all in the next Out of the Groove episode later this week. Have a good one, y'all.